Then some residents comes and says, look, I got a borehole, put the Jojo tanks in the street, you can take from my borehole and put into your tankers. That happens. But the planning, that's not enough. And then we say, okay, now to take a water tank in the areas and people are going to take from the tank, you know how long that's going to take.
Yeah.
So we put in 37 Jojo tanks in the different communities. And then we said the ultimate solution in the absence of rain, in the absence of a functioning dam, in the absence of alternative source of water is boreholes. Put them in schools, clinics, hospitals, for the patients, for the students, and for the street. The first borehole we drilled, 9,000 liters per hour. The second one, 70,000 liters per hour.
Sure.
And the third one, 36,000 liters per hour. So there's now a constant, sustainable source of water. So the plan was now the planning part. Bottled water, the water tankers, additional source water tankers, Jojo tanks, boreholes. The ultimate, in the rain, even when the rain comes, they need to fix the problem in the dam. And that's the government responsibility. Give us the money and we'll sort it out, no problem. So
Do you leave them for the government to take care of, or I mean, because you've got
it's handed over to where we put it.
oh, I see.
So the school
so
takes
you don't
off.
own it.
No, once you give, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
It's for them. If they want it to work, they must look after it. But we have teams that go out throughout the year, checking all the balls that we've drilled to help them to make sure that it's functional. I mean, some nut gives up, or the tap breaks down, or something's not pumping. Those things happen all the time. It's maintenance, wear and tear. They don't have the money. We fix it. You can't spend 400,000 or 500,000 on a bowl and it's doing nothing. So we check it. And the other one was like in 2017 when the Sutherland farmers came to us with a drought and they said, we need fodder. I know nothing about fodder.
Yeah.
But
What's that? Fodder?
Fodder.
Fodder. What's that?
Food for the sheep.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay. Oh,
So I got somebody who knows the thing and we started sending fodder for the Northern Cape farmers.
but how do you know what to respond to? Because I'm sure you've got a lot of people that are reaching out. I'm sure there's what process do you follow?
don't do individual responses. In our case, it's mostly disaster related, where it's full community. Drought in a town affects the whole community.
Yeah.
A fire in one house is one person. We don't do that. If by the way we got something, we'll do that. But a fire in Cape Town, 37 fires in 5 weeks, hundreds of thousands of people affected, yes, we respond to that. Tornadoes, floods in KZN affects the entire province, yes, we respond to that. So we respond to mass community crisis.
Got you.
Not individual crisis.
Got you.
And in Sutherland and Northern Cape, the entire farmers were affected, which means farm laborers lost their job, which means the GDP suffered, which means agriculture suffered, which means the country suffered.
Yeah.
We intervened with fodder. We put 238 boreholes at our cost to feed the sheep, so the sheep could grow. It cost us 90 million rand. Altogether in Northern Cape from 2017 till now, we invested 400 million rand
Sure.
to save the sheep, the farmers, the jobs, the economy. It's a long-term effect. It's all about in the interest of the country and the people.
That's a lot. I want to pick your brain, Doc, on a couple of things, right? I'm very troubled by what I've been seeing on the news, right? And I want to pick your brain on what you think is happening. Donald Trump, AfriForum, with what's been happening with the narrative that's been put out, that there's a certain group of people that are being discriminated against. So I want to hear your thoughts on what you think of that. But before that, I want to show you something. I'm not sure when last you saw this, right there at the bottom.
People have been reminding me about that quite some time now.
I looked at that. African Muslim Party. Can you talk to us about that? 1994, you are on the ballot paper. And we're going to show you guys this so you can see how it looks. You're very young. You looked very young here. So why didn't you join the ANC? Why did you run as African Muslim
In fact,
Party?
that whole story is a real mess up, to be honest.
Is it?
I wasn't involved in the formation of the party. I wasn't even in the country. I was involved in some disaster. I was in Bosnia at that time. When I came back, they told me you're the leader of the party. I said, what party? They said, African Muslim Party. I said, I know
Who
nothing.
told you that?
The groups, the people that formed it. And then I said, but why do I need to be in a party? I'm not a political guy. I'm not involved in this. I'm not interested. They said, no, the parties are registered. Your name is put there now. You have to stand. You're well known. You're respected. I was not interested at all. I wanted to take part in debates and all, to be honest, time wasting to me. And of course I was supporting the ANC. And I said, what's the point? And I secretly prayed, nobody knew it. I hope I don't get a seat. And that's exactly what happened. And because I'm more influential outside government than
Yes.
inside. And immediately after that, when I met a spiritual teacher in 95, he told me, you will never get involved in government. You will never be involved in politics. You will always work with government. And actually I was doing that from 92 already, that we worked with government because I believe and I know there's a lot of good people in government who want to do the right thing. You need to hold their hand. If you leave good people alone and the bad people keep having support, the good guys will fall apart. And the common saying is, if you let the evil people, if good people don't do anything, evil will prosper. So you've seen us work with government in every sphere in this country: health, education, water, crime, everything. So and actually when I was outside, I could do much more. When you're inside this political party, you're limited.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, you get a label. Okay,
That's
he's this
true.
party.
Yeah,
No, we're not
yeah,
going to
yeah.
work with him. But when you work with everybody, you take on anybody.
Greater impact.
Greater impact. And there's a problem. You take government head on. You take the political parties head on. You take corporates head on. It's not a problem. I've got no interest. And people were worried. They said, why don't you stand for president? I don't want to be president. I've got a spiritual instruction not to be that. To be involved, not to be president, but not to be in a political party. I'm not interested. And I realized I can do much more on the outside. No hindrance, no obstacle, and everybody works with me. I have a fantastic relation with government. Yes, we fight. We fight like hell, right? In day, but in the night, we've got a good relationship. It's nothing personal. It's some other people. And they tell me, you're brutal with us, but you're right. They actually tell you that. And we appreciate what you do for us. They tell you that all the time. And then they say, then one government department say, but why doesn't government emulate you? So I said, aren't you government? And then a mayor will tell you, where's government? I said, excuse me, who are you? And then there's, of course, yes, they're also government. It's that kind of story. But the individual desire comes out. I'm in government, but I'm restricted. I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do that. But as an individual, I want to do so much more. But because I've got this label, I'm a mayor, I got to follow the protocol.
Yeah.
That becomes a problem.
If the system was different and party politics wasn't...
I can only do that if I get instruction from the spiritual teacher.
Got you.
There's no discussion on that.
Got you.
In our tradition of 350 plus years from the spiritual order, I don't think anybody has been involved in politics. I'm not in Turkey, but from my understanding of what I've seen, the little time that I know them, I don't think anybody got involved.
10th of April 1993, right? Chris Ani gets brutally murdered, and recently his killer was let go, went back to Poland, did an interview with ENCA, and he was so unrepentant. He was saying, he was basically saying he would do it again if he had the chance. Do you remember where you were that day, 10th of April 1993?
I remember
what happened?
I was at home, and I know that when that happened, the first thought that went through my mind is, are we going to have bloodshed in this country? Everything that we worked for is somebody trying to dismantle the process. Is there a third force trying to put back what has happened in working towards after Codesa, and towards a free government and a free country.
Yeah.
It's somebody trying to interfere with that process. Very much like you asked me earlier about every forum, and Trump. I've been quite blunt with economists, with journalists, with editors. And I said, look, I want to ask you guys a very simple question. Are you agents for foreign governments? Because you're always negative about the country. And sometimes I'm trying to figure out which country you're talking about. Your statements makes people negative towards us. No transaction takes
South
place.
African journalists.
Yes, South African journalists. Yeah. I'm talking about our country. Overseas journalists, I'm not really interested. They'll say whatever they want.
Yeah.
I have a problem when people start saying something about their own country in a very negative way without looking at every aspect of it. And I'm blunt. I just say it like it is, And I told economists at a bank meeting, I said, you guys are the troublemakers. You guys don't think clearly. You make the sensational statement. What happens? The rand tanks. The JSE loses share value. Government bonds get sell off. There's capital flight. There's no foreign investment.
What sensational statements are that?
Violence is going to take place in the country. The elections is very dangerous.
They're
Country's
gonna
going
be
to fall
bloodshed.
apart.
Yeah.
6 elections and nothing happened. What's so different between the first 6 and the 7? Like, what major thing happened? Between 6 and 7, all we had was COVID, floods, tornadoes, fire, and ESCOM. Are these things so critical they're going to cause violence in an election? Are there like terror groups coming inside the country? Is there some opposition forces? Are people coming with military here and cause a problem? What are you talking about? Fire, floods, ESCOM. Is that going to cause violence in the country? Does it need an election to cause that? It can do that without an election. What are you talking about? Doesn't make sense. Next time, the rand is improved. Sentiment is looking good to the country. Let's invest. What transaction took place? Was there movement of money? Was it deals? Nothing. It's just sentiment. You need to be more patriotic. I don't know how far FT Forum is involved in what has happened.
Yeah.
But if you keep complaining, what are you complaining about? Don't you get the land for free? Isn't it fair distribution should take place? Aren't poor people entitled to get land? The government only made a statement. Did they do any act? How long is this act going to take place to be fulfilled? Why bring in a foreign power? Does the foreign power work for you? You know, do we interfere in other people's politics? What is the first rule of government? You don't interfere in another country.
Yeah.
Why are you getting other people to interfere in our country?
A lot of people are saying it's treasonous to actually do
But I call it treason straight. You're not patriotic. You know, yes, treason is the next stage.
Yeah.
You're not patriotic, and the next stage is treasonous. You know, to interfere with the workings of our country. This country has been good to us. Yes, there's no saint. You're never going to find a president or a government of saints inside there. You don't even find the saints in the church, let's be honest. Or even the Islamic religion. You're not going to find them. You find priests become pedophiles. You know, it's not common to one religion. It happens to all religions. I'm not identifying a single religion.
Yeah.
I'm talking about religious people across religion.
Yes,
It's a common thing. You're not going to get any saint anyway. You're going to get the best you can, and the best you can is going to have flaws. There is no perfect human being. The human being is going to act according to their own understanding, their own capacity, their own intelligence. They'll do what they can do in the interest of the country. If somebody deliberately targeting you, attacking you, taking your land away, making life difficult for you, they're not. You know, they've never, this land distribution, when we're talking about it over the last 30 years, what has happened? Nothing. Nothing has happened. Why do you have to bring an outside government? Can't you go to the government yourself internally and sort the problem out internally? Do you have to go outwards and do that? And who's America? Are they like the world's moral rights organization? They bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They used Agent Orange in Vietnam. They made a lie. They bombed Iraq and disrupted the entire country. They got involved with NATO in Libya. They're putting weapons that goes into Gaza. Who is just the moral policeman? Is that your understanding that these are the people to go to? These are the last people in the world you need to go to. Morally corrupt, bankrupt, imperialists, racists, stealing resources. We don't need them. If you need them, there's something seriously wrong with your belief system.
Sure. That's hectic. So Trump, what do you make of him currently and what he's been saying and the sanctions? And
to me, he's a clown, to be honest. He's a clown. Doesn't make sense what he's saying. And all the things that he's saying is never going to happen. You think you're going to take 2 million people out of Gaza? You must be having some really, delusions of grandeur and having some sensationalist dreams. It's never going to happen. You can say what you want. You're never going to move those people. Because faith and spirituality is two things you can't break. And take the war itself. Israel lost this war, no matter who says what. When did Israel fight a 15-month war in any of the history since 1948? They took 3 countries in 1967, Egypt, Syria, and Jordan. They took 3 countries that had armies. This is not an army. This is resistance fighters. There's no plane. There's no artillery. There's no tanks. There's no naval ship. There's no drones. There's no 2,000-pound bombs. There's no heavy equipment. There's no water, no electricity, no communication systems, no food. Using all to destroy the hospitals. You're walking against unarmed nation, mostly women and children. And after 15 months, you've got nothing to show except killing of innocent people and destruction. What did you achieve? And you're supposed to be the 4th largest army on earth. All you did was show the world who you really are. The 76 years of lies has been exposed. Your economy has been challenged. Your soldiers have gone home with mental illness. There's an epidemic of mental illness inside Israel. 68% of no investment in tech shares. Agriculture, tech, and other resources people have stopped investing in. Tourism don't come. 980,000 tourists a year before, 150,000 from outside now. Internally, no tourism. People are affected. There's disruption, there's conflict. Your soldiers don't want to fight. You have to look after 300,000 settlers. On the social grants you have to give them. 250,000 reservists, they left the jobs, you've got to look after them. Your GDP is not going to grow. What do you want? More than that, everybody knows who you are. What war did you win? You lost against an unarmed nation supported by America, Europe, imperialists, people with weapons and money, and you lost because no army ever wins against faith and spirituality. That's an Islamic teaching, whether people accept it or not, and has been proven over and over again in our history. And even in the history of other people, the black people in this country are not Muslim. They stood up against apartheid, and they won. They won. Truth.
Do you think they won?
Yes. The first part, anybody can say anything without being locked up? Even the corporates and the journalists, anybody else can say negative things against Cyril, against Zuma, against anybody else, president. They don't get locked up. They don't sleep with fear. They're not worried what they say. You can say whatever you want. The greatest liberty is freedom of speech and dignity. Yes, you may not have food, you may not have water. Would you rather have food and be locked up in a jail and be tormented and arrested like what happens in Gaza? Or would you be free to say what you want? You'll eat less and you'll survive. Your dignity is far more important than anything else in this world. We haven't won completely, but we're free. We can say what we want, we can go what we want, we can do what we want. We have to take the system further and fix the economy and get total liberation, upskill our people, make sure there's total patriotism, totally committed to the country. And now, America did us the greatest favor. They should have taken the money a long time ago and left. I don't want the money. We're not beggars.
Yeah.
We can rearrange our systems. We've got resources.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and let's tell government, hey, stop wasting money. Tell corporates, stop dropping off government. Tell people, stop stealing. Let's work together. Corporates, government, churches, religious sectors, sports unions, communities, unions, universities, academic institutions. We've got clever people in this country.
Yeah.
We've got committed people in this country. If we work together, we can fix anything. And we can be the powerhouse that if we can fix it here, we can send it up Africa, and we can send it to the whole world. I have full faith in our country. I'm not even worried them taking their money away. It gives us a chance to rethink, to reposition, to fix. Already, within the first week, I had a whole lot of corporates coming to me. Speak to government. We'll fund factories to make our own medicines.
Wow.
We'll fund TB vaccines in South Africa.
Wow.
We've got the best researchers in the world. We'll carry on paying them.
Wow.
Over time, this will pay dividends, but we need buy-in from government. Let's stop depending on Western government. And these are white people telling me that.